Hello, my name is Sonnet and I love to talk about crochet and books and amigurumi, and especially amigurumi books. And in today's video, we have a new episode of The Good, the Bad, the Amigurumi. This is a series where I talk about an amigurumi book. I share with you what I like, things that I'm not the biggest fan of, and I share with you all of the amigurumi that I made from the book. Today's title is an older one, but it is well loved, and it is probably one of my all-time favorite amigurumi books. It's in the top 3, that's for sure. It definitely is up there. And that, of course, is Crochet Cafe by Lauren Espy. Crochet Cafe is a collection of food amigurumi patterns designed by Lauren Espy, also known as a menagerie of stitches. The book was published in 2020, and it is published by Page Tate & Co. And all of the patterns, as well as the photography, are done by Lauren Espy herself. There's currently a paperback edition available on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, as well as many other online retailers. And you can even get a signed copy over on Lauren's website at menagerieofstitches.com. I have also seen physical copies at places like Barnes and Noble and Michael's and Joann's and places like that. At the time of recording, Crochet Cafe is currently listed on Amazon.com as $12.99. So if this is one you don't have yet, now might be a good time to get it, because I think $13 for these adorable amigurumi is absolutely worth it. I purchased my copy from Amazon on June 16th of 2021, which is maybe about a week after I started crocheting. I just knew that I was going to absolutely love this book, and even though I hadn't really crocheted much, I went ahead and got it anyways because I was hearing so many great things about it, and also because it was just too cute. Let's take a moment now to get to know the designer a little bit better, which is Lauren Espy. Now, I'm getting all of this information from the Amazon profile of Lauren Espy. Lauren Espy is the owner and designer behind the well-loved Menagerie of Stitches. One year, Lauren's grandmother gifted her a set of crochet hooks, and well, Lauren was hooked ever since. She learned to crochet back in 2009 and then quickly started designing her own patterns and giving each of her patterns her own unique spin and style. She opened up a Menagerie of Stitches in 2015 and has since been selling all of her amazing creations, and is the author of some other really well-loved amigurumi books, including the super popular Whimsical Stitches book, and the Amigurumi Adventures book, which I believe there's 2 volumes in that series of the animals. One thing I just want to throw in here real quickly, it has nothing to do kind of with the review, but I absolutely love all of her minis that she has. So on her website, she does have a 3-volume PDF series of 100 minis. And I absolutely love them. I make them all the time. They make incredible keychains, and they're great to kind of create if you want to make an amigurumi, but you don't want to spend more than a couple of hours doing it. So I definitely do recommend you check out her website as well to see what digital patterns she has to offer, because just like her books, they are pretty wonderful. Crochet Cafe is 216 pages of amigurumi goodness, and they are all adorable foods. Now, there are 26 patterns in the Crochet Cafe book, and they are all organized based off of meal times and menus. It's super cute. So there are breakfast patterns, lunch, snack, dinner, and dessert patterns. Now, one of the main things that really drew me into this book was actually how the sections are laid out and how they look like a menu. I thought that detail was super cute. So the introduction page, where you learn the name of the design as well as what materials and abbreviations there are, it looks like a chalkboard menu, and it's just set up in a way that is so visually appealing and just really kind of immersive you in that experience of crocheting little foods. And it's just a detail that I think is so awesome and really adds to why I love this book so much. Those kind of cute little details really matter to me. The front of the book does have a nice table of contents, so you can go ahead and jump to whatever pattern you want to. It has a sweet introduction page as well as a list of materials and tools that Lauren suggests, pages on abbreviations, stitches, techniques, and a really nice section at the beginning of the book that demonstrates how to do specific stitches as well as different techniques. These are all really nice. There's also a section that talks about adding the mouth and how Lauren likes to sew her mouth on. So that is nice to know if you are kind of new to everything. And it also has a section about melting the backs of safety eyes. I melt the back of my safety eyes quite a lot, and it's because of this book. So I think it's useful information and very handy that I use in a lot of my amigurumi making. And I did want to note this, but these patterns are all in US terminology. I think it's important to note. So yeah, US terms for this one. Now, as I mentioned, there are 26 patterns in this book, and I have had this book for so long and I have loved it for so long that I think I've made the most patterns out of this book than any other amigurumi book that I have. And so out of the 26 patterns, I have made a total of 13 of these patterns over the past few years. Not all of those patterns are going to be showcased today, but we'll get more into the ones that I did make a little bit later in the video. Now that we've talked about the actual physical book itself, let's go ahead and get into the good, or the things that I absolutely love about this amigurumi book and these patterns. And there's a lot. I could list all of the things that I love so much about this book, and we would be here all day. So the first thing that I love so much about this amigurumi book is the way it's laid out. I love how you have the different meal times as well as the snack thrown in there, separating everything based off of breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack. Super easy. Really helps if I'm in the mood for making more of, like, say, a savory amigurumi food and I want to make a cheeseburger. I can flip to the dinner section and I know I'm going to find those options there. But say I want to make something super cute, super sweet, and something more dessert-like, I can go to the dessert section and find them there. I just think it's a nice way to lay everything out, and it makes everything super easy and it just makes sense. Also, these patterns actually don't take too long to crochet up. Now, I wouldn't say that they are fast projects, and we'll get into that when we talk about the bad, but as far as crocheting up all of the pieces that you're going to need, it's relatively quick and relatively simple. I also love how simple these patterns are. There's nothing too complicated about these patterns whatsoever. They are designed in a way that is simple and effective, and it gives you the shape that you are going for without lots of mental gymnastics and math and adding, stitches here and there. You know what I'm talking about? They're very simple. You have your increases, you have your single crochets, you have your decreases, and occasionally you do some chaining. Also, another thing I like, again, I have made 13 of these patterns and I don't think I have encountered a single error. So these patterns are correct and error-free. I also love that you can tell it's a Lauren Espy pattern. Even though they're a little bit more on the simple side and not so stylized, I still can tell if it's a Lauren Espy pattern. I don't know what it is, but I love that. And my favorite thing about this book, and the reason I've created so many patterns, I think the little crocheted foods are adorable. There is very few things I like to crochet more than food. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I love food, but I love to make crocheted food. It just makes me happy. I have been selling at craft markets now for a few years, and without a doubt, all of the crocheted foods that I do bring to markets are usually the most popular sellers personally for me. And I think it's just because they're super fun. What isn't fun about looking at a funny little cheeseburger? I don't know. Little pancakes. It just makes you happy. At least it does for me. Maybe not everybody, but for somebody like me, little foods are the way to go. Maybe it's because I was so into dramatic play as a kid that I just love kind of things that replicate real life, and that's what these little foods do, but in a playful, childlike way. Now that we've talked about the good and the things that I absolutely love about these patterns, let's go ahead and get into the bad. Now, a quick disclaimer, just because this is titled The Bad doesn't mean that these are bad patterns. I've said it before and I will say it again. The good, the bad, the amigurumi, a little bit more of a dramatic title than what I like, things I don't care about as much, and the things that I made. These are not bad patterns, and what might be things that I don't like to do might be things that you absolutely love to do. So these are all my opinions and the things that I don't like to do personally as Sonnet who crochets. We all make differently. We all have our different strengths and weaknesses, and we all have our own preferences, and that's okay, and it's a good thing. Now, the bad. What is there bad about these patterns? Well, again, not a lot. These patterns are some of my all-time favorites, and there's really not much that I don't like about them. But if there is one thing that I kind of really don't like to do when it comes to these patterns is the assembly. Oh boy. So I was talking about it earlier where these patterns do crochet up pretty quickly, but the assembly part, not so much. There's just a lot of assembly for a lot of these, not all of them, but a lot of them. It's a lot of assembly, and it can be pretty time consuming. I think I spent just as much time sewing everything together as I did crocheting everything. So if you are not big into sewing, might not be the book for you. And there are times where I will crochet up all of the pieces that I need for a little foodie, and then I just don't get around to assembling it because I just don't feel like doing it. And the last thing I want to talk about is not a negative for me at all, quite the opposite. But I do feel like crocheted foods are not for everybody. There are people out there that don't want to see food with faces on it. And I totally understand that. I totally get it. There's people where crocheted food, just not their style, not what they're into. They would rather be making something that maybe animals, or maybe something a lot more detailed and intricate. And that's totally understandable. Although these patterns are excellent and I love them so much, I do admit crocheted food, not for everybody, might be kind of silly to some people. Now, those were all the good and the bad things that I have about this book, but as always, I'm curious about what you guys think of this book. So be sure to comment down below what you love about Crochet Cafe or what you hate about Crochet Cafe. But now that we have talked about the good and the bad, let's go ahead and get into the amigurumi. Now, most of these amigurumi I did crochet for my craft market that was on the 7th of December. I'm currently filming this video after that craft market, so a lot of the things that I made, I don't have anymore. They sold. And I anticipated that they would sell. So I actually filmed this portion a couple of weeks ago when I was done making them. And so we're going to go back in time, see Sonnet from a couple weeks ago. I'm going to talk about the amigurumi that I made, and then we'll come back to present time to give you guys my final thoughts. We're actually going to go ahead and start first with breakfast. Breakfast is probably my least favorite meal of the day personally, but I love crocheting breakfast foods. I don't like breakfast foods, but I do really love a good Eggs Benedict. And look at how happy he is. Super cute. So this is the Eggs Benedict. Of course, you have the English muffin, you have your ham, and then your darling little happy egg with the hollandaise sauce. So cute. I love this one. This is actually the third Eggs Benedict that I have ever made. I just love this pattern. I love to gift this pattern to people, and it makes me happy, and it makes me crave Eggs Benedict. That's going to be like a big theme, I feel, of this book. So every time I make some of these foods, I just want to eat like everything. Oh, I get so hungry when I crochet foods. The next pattern is the adorable little latte. So I've made, oh gosh, I want to say maybe 6 or 7 lattes now. I love this pattern, and this is definitely my most made pattern. And this one didn't actually turn out as great as some of the others in the past. I feel like it has something to do with sewing this one. I was sewing this one at like midnight the other night, and I feel like I was just kind of over it, but I wanted to get it done. So it's not bad, but it's not the perfect latte either. But there it is. There's the darling little latte. I like to take scented wax melts. So you know those little like wax cubes that you can melt in wax burners and stuff? I get coffee scented ones and I put them inside the amigurumi. This one is not scented, but I have scented them in the past, and it's really cute. It's really fun. And again, this is the pattern I have made the most from this book, and I probably will make a million more of them. Love the latte, love a good latte, and yeah, super cute. Now you can't make breakfast foods without having some pancakes. So I did make the pancakes. There are 3 of them. 2 of them are just regular kind of pancakes. And then the third one does have the face, the syrup, and the butter. Now you are supposed to kind of stack them, crochet them together, and then kind of have the syrup dripping. But when I sell these at my markets, I usually sell all of the foods to children. And I feel the reason why children are buying these is because they like to play with them. And so I decided to leave these ones unassembled, unsewn together. That way, if someone does choose to pick them up, one, they can arrange them however they want to if they're going to display them, or if it's a child or children and they are doing all of their dramatic play, they can use them as individual pancakes. Super quick pattern and super fast. So I feel like if you are really into making crocheted foods, pancakes are the way to go because they're cute, everyone loves pancakes, and they're nice and quick. So there are the pancakes. So our first lunch item is probably my favorite pattern in the whole entire book, and that is the burrito. This was the very first pattern I ever made from this book. This was one of the very first patterns I ever made in general, and I love it so much. It is so cute. I love that you have the little foil on the outside. I did add the face to it. I also did add a face to the burrito itself, which I think is super cute. So there we have the burrito, and inside you do have the lettuce, sour cream, the meat, cheese, and tomatoes. Now in the pattern it does have you crochet the cheese, but I decided to save a bit on time by cutting out the cheese, and I also cut out the tomatoes out of felt. Now they do have you cut out tomatoes out of felt for the book, but I decided to just do cheese as well because it was going to be super quick. This pattern is not stuffed at all. No stuffing was included, and the only thing that was sewn was the tortilla to make the burrito. So that's kind of fun, and I think it's super cute. I think it's so sweet. Again, I crave burritos so bad every time I make this pattern, and I want a burrito. That's all I want. Just a burrito. Now, the second lunch pattern that I have, oh my gosh, I have wanted to make this pattern for so long, and I didn't until just recently, and I'm so glad I did. And that is the little grilled cheese sandwich and the tomato soup. In the book, you have the option to make a half of a sandwich, a whole grilled cheese sandwich, so a completely square one. And I chose just to do half. I do plan to sell these and to sell them together as a set. So I figured to save up on time to just do the half of a sandwich. And then of course we have our tomato soup. Now the soup pattern does have a spoon that comes with it, but I can't find my spoon. The spoon is MIA. Also, on the pattern, it does have a little dollop of sour cream that you put on the tomato soup, but I don't want sour cream on my soup. I don't know. I don't think it would be gross, but I've never had sour cream on tomato soup before. And so I'm just like, no. I kind of struggled with the soup much like I did with the latte. And that maybe, you know what it is? Maybe it's the cardboard that's inside of there. Maybe it's just too big. Did you see how it kind of like bumps out? I think that's what it is. I think I cut out the cardboard too big and it's just not great, but it's fine. It is what it is. We still got our really cute little soup and our sandwich. And yeah, overall, pretty happy with this one. Now I want a grilled cheese because, ooh, that's perfect in like the wintertime. Love a good grilled cheese and tomato soup when it's cold outside. Moving on in the book, I didn't crochet any items from the snacks section this time. I have in the past, but we don't have any snacks today. But that's because we've had a burrito, we've had an Eggs Benedict, we had our tomato soup and our grilled cheese, our pancakes, our latte. Phew, we're already pretty stuffed. But it's time for supper. Yeah, so let's go ahead and dive into the dinner section and the one item I made for dinner. And that, of course, had to be the cheeseburger with an order of fries. Yes, absolutely. You need the fries. So this is my first time making a Menagerie of Stitches cheeseburger. I have made quite a few cheeseburgers in the past, and they are some of my favorite foods to make because they're so cute. Who doesn't want a crocheted cheeseburger? Oh my gosh, I love a good cheeseburger. Yummy. And so this was my first time making the cheeseburger out of this book, and I just love it. Once again, I left everything unassembled, so you just go ahead and you can stack whatever you need on your burger. Pretty simple. The only thing stuffed in this pattern are the two buns. It does take a lot to sew though. As I mentioned in my, kind of negatives of these patterns, it takes a long time to kind of sew the pieces together, these top two buns, or these two buns, right? So just know that. And then of course there are the fries, and the fries do come out of there. But yeah, we have our cute little side of fries for our cheeseburger. Now that we are done with dinner, it is time to move on to dessert. And I made two desserts because why have one dessert if you can have two? You know what I mean? Yeah, so the first one we have is, of course, the eclair. Oh, I love eclairs. Oh my goodness, do I love eclairs. And this one is super cute, super sweet. I actually crocheted this one quite a while ago, and he just is never sold. But it's okay, it's fine. He still sits on the table and people still laugh at him, and he still makes me have a sweet tooth. So we have our little eclair. And then our last item for dessert is the strawberry ice cream cone. So I had a little bit extra of this kind of tan color here. I used it a lot while making all of the little things. And so I had just a little bit left. I was looking through the book. I saw the ice cream cone and it was just the perfect amount to make the cone. And I love it. I have a feeling that kids are going to love this one too. Kids love ice cream. They love cupcakes. I mean, adults do too. Cookies, but especially like crocheted ones. They love to look at it. So we have our cute little ice cream. You could have done a mint chocolate chip one, which is probably my favorite ice cream, but I also love a good strawberry. So we have our strawberry ice cream there. And there's all of our little foods. They make me so happy. What is it about little crocheted foods that just make me smile? I don't know. Those were all of the crochet foodies that I made this time around. Let's go ahead and get into my final thoughts. You guys know what I'm going to say. I love this book. I absolutely love this book. Now, I also at the beginning of the video mentioned that I bought this book like a week after I started crocheting. And do I recommend this book for somebody that just is starting out with crocheting? Well, yeah. Sure. I say if you are brand new to amigurumi making and you love the idea of making crocheted foods, I would say pick this one up because there are some really good beginner patterns in the book. The very first one that I made was the burrito, and I didn't struggle with that one at all. It was very simple. It was very easy. So I would say that's kind of a beginner pattern. Things like the little oranges, the ice cream cones, and definitely like something like the apples, I feel are kind of in that beginner type of area. I would say most of these patterns though are advanced beginners. I wouldn't say any of them get to intermediate. Again, there is a lot of assembly on some of them, but it's not so complex that you won't be able to grasp it. It just takes a bit more time. These are really cool and different, unique patterns created by a well-loved designer in the crochet community. And this book is always in like the top 10 list of crochet books on Amazon for a reason. And there's such an amazing variety of foods listed as well. You have things from eggs Benedict to falafel to lobster. I mean, the possibilities are endless when it comes to making up super cute crocheted foods, especially if you have little ones in your life. These are great for children and dramatic play. I could go on and on about how much I love Crochet Cafe by Lauren Espy. I just love it so much. So if you haven't picked up Crochet Cafe yet, I definitely recommend you do so. If you have already picked up Crochet Cafe, please let me know what you like or what you don't like about the book down in the comments. But that's all I have to say about that. Thank you so much for joining me today. You are so wonderful. I hope you're having a wonderful holiday season. And of course, I will see you all a little later. Bye.